RJ, as we've talked about, August is the dead month, as far as hockey media goes anyway, as everybody takes their lead from Bobby Margaritas, and they all head off to their cabins in Ontario or Minnesota if they're American. So, lacking too much content to talk about, kind of had this idea, RJ, for a whole month's worth of content. Are you ready for this?
What is it?
Way too early month, where we just sit here and we try to guess things out for the upcoming season for the Kraken way too early. Training camp hasn't started. We have no idea who's really going to be on the finalized roster. We barely know who's even been added to the team. We don't know if Shane Wright's going to be with the team this year or not. We know very little actually before mid to late September comes around. So I thought, why don't we go ahead and try to make a ton of predictions way too early? And I think it'll be a lot of fun to look back, heck, even a month into the season just to see how way off we are. So planned out 4 really fun videos for this guessing, as people can see with my beautiful on-screen overlay. This week is going to be Kraken stat leaders, who's going to lead the Kraken season in all the different stat categories. I mean, all of this is happening way too early, including all of the graphics involved, thumbnails, all of that. It's gonna be a fun time. So what do you think, RJ? You wanna give this a crack?
Let's do it. Sounds awesome. And hey, I love the overlay. That's a real masterpiece right there.
It really is. It really is. I think I should be in charge of all future t-shirt designs and stuff now.
Yep, our graphics guy better watch out.
That's what
it's like you're gunning for him there.
Just saying. All right. So also real quick, gonna be using pictures from Jen, the resident photographer. Super excited for that. Not gonna have stuff for the new additions to the team, unfortunately, because it is so early. We are way too early. If we choose Bjork, Strand, Burakovsky, Martin Jones for any of these, not gonna have some Kraken pictures for them. But I'll just throw up like a big sad face or something.
There you go.
That'll be good.
That'll be a good idea.
All right. So looking at stat categories, I think we should probably start with like something nice and easy to dip our toes in. So how about flurry adjusted expected goals, RJ? Who do you think is going to lead the Kraken in that this year?
Oh, flurry adjusted? Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, let's see. Marc-Andre Fleury was pretty good against the Kraken last year. I mean, he robbed Jared McCann a few times.
We're down a flurry. We've only got Kale left.
Oh man.
All right. Seriously though, we're not going to do any of the analytics stuff because one of us, it's definitely not important who, barely understands how any of that works to begin with, much less trying to predict it, a full month before training camp even begins. So why don't we really start with the obvious place to start, and that's with goaltending. I think we're probably both in agreement when it comes to anything counting stat wise for goaltending. It's probably got to be Philip Grubauer, wins, shutouts, that kind of stuff.
Agreed. Anything counting stat wise, it's Grubauer's net, and I think he's going to rebound too from last season. I would be very surprised to see anyone else lead in any of the major goaltending categories. We got to go Grubauer. I don't think this is too long of a conversation.
No, exactly. So then it really comes down to the things that aren't counting stats: save percentage, goals against average. I'm still going to stick with Grubauer here. I just think he's going to get a lot of work this year. I think the work that he showed at the later portions of last season, when he was much more close to average for him and goaltending in general, I just don't think we're going to see another just disaster of a season, like a complete lost season, outlier bad. And especially with him getting in the early work with the new goaltending coach and everything, I think this is going to be Grubauer's crease all year long.
Agreed. Even save percentage, goals against average. I think Martin Jones has something to prove there as well. After the last few seasons' performance, and we'll see who has kind of the bigger bounce back, but got to back Grubauer in that.
All right, so we're in agreement there. Now here comes the big question, RJ, and because this is all way too early, we haven't even talked about what order we're going to do things in. Obviously, we're going to talk about like the big things that everybody's going to be interested: goals, points. Do we do that now, or do we string them along and make them watch this whole video?
Interesting. I feel like today I'm feeling generous today. I think we should go straight into goals, straight into the ones that the people really want.
All right, then we'll go ahead and start there. Let's start
Because I think that some of these smaller stats, blocks, hits, I think those are going to be more fun. Looking at it, there's a little bit more variance there. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with that.
I was gonna say there's gonna be a lot of stuff when we get into average time on ice leaders forwards category. That's really what everybody's gonna want. I'm gonna make sure to front load that with a couple ads right before we get to it, just for everything. You know what I mean?
Perfect.
All right, so goals. This is the big one. First, let me ask you a question. Do you think we're gonna get a 30 goal scorer this year for the Kraken as we talk about this? Look at it.
I think we will.
I do
I think
too.
there are enough potential options there that at least one of them will hit that 30 goal mark.
I agree with that. Looking at goal leaders, obviously last year it was Jared Mccann, and you know what? I think I'm picking him for a repeat, RJ.
Oh, of course you are, because that's my pick too. Hopefully we don't have too much overlap on this. I thought, Dylan's gonna go with like a Burakovsky or a Bjork Strand or something. Yeah, but I'm going with Jared McCann too.
Yeah, so I when it comes to other stuff we'll talk about, I think I'll probably lean Bjorkstrand as far as goal scoring over McCann. But I think, just all around goal scorer, I think this is going to be McCann's. I think he's going to play with Beniers a lot, who we're going to talk about probably for the next two stat categories quite a bit. And I just think that the chemistry they showed last year, McCann's ability to score from so many different areas, just how good his shot is, all that kind of stuff, having, a normalized off season, all that stuff going into this season. I just think it's going to be McCann.
Right. And yes, you have guys like Burakovsky, Bjorkstrand, some of those new arrivals. But you look at McCann scored at a similar rate to Bjorkstrand last season, getting fewer minutes on a Kraken team that was worse even than Columbus. And especially too, if he moves to wing, like again, it's way too early, but that's kind of what we're predicting to happen. I think he's going to have more offensive freedom there to go and score more goals. And I think he's going to hit at least 30.
Exactly. And I guess we'll go ahead and throw this out there too. Let us know, everybody, down in the comments on this video who your predictions are for all these stat categories. I know I'd love to read those later. Get everybody involved in that. I think that would be a lot of fun. And then while you're down there, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like so other people can find it. You know the whole spiel. Looking ahead to assists. RJ.
Before that, though, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off here. Well, I thought it might be fun if for some of these bigger categories, we kind of do a little off the board pick. Someone who, maybe isn't the favorite, but, we think might have a chance to, kind of be a sneaky dark horse candidate to lead the team. So is there anyone a little bit more off the board that you think could lead the team in goals? I know there's only so many people. You can't, go down to third and fourth liners, but is there anyone else you see that might have an outside chance?
Well, it's, I'm going to talk about Bjorkstrand later when it comes to scoring, but I don't feel like he's a dark horse considering he had 28 goals last year. Right. I think as far as like dark horse, maybe if Jordan Eberle kind of figures things out this year, gets a hot streak going for a good portion of the year, I think Eberle could be that guy. Did I steal your pick again?
Of course you did. I kind of had two options out. I was going to go with whichever one you didn't, but I thought Eberle might be the one. Yeah, he had good chemistry with Beniers last season. He's streaky. Maybe he goes on the scoring bender and it takes him to the top. The other one I had actually was Maddie Beniers. He's got a good shot. If they really set him up as kind of the trigger man on the power play, he could produce a lot there. And of course, he's just going to be in the middle of a lot of offense. So those are my two kind of sleeper picks there.
I agree. See, I thought, RJ, when you were going to stop me from moving on, I thought it was going to be because in my little spiel promoting everything, I didn't promote the merch. So also go check out the merch, link in the description. And I think even now, because of the Teespring thing, it's just all there. Like you're probably...
Yeah, it's all right there. You should see it kind of right below the video. Never been easier to go and get some ECH merch, some deep dive merch, some GRU merch.
Yes, exactly. Gonna lead the Kraken in all the goaltending categories this year. Let's go. All right, so you brought him up, Maddie Beniers. He's my pick for assist leader. I just think based on last year, what we were seeing from him, his ability to make the no-look pass, his desire to want to circle the offensive zone, hold onto the puck, suck in defenders, find the open man. I just think this is a pass-first kind of kid, and that kind of got backed up in what we were seeing from him at Dev Camp too. So I think easy for me pick for assist leader. It's going to be Maddie Beniers. The only question is going to be, can he get to 50?
Yeah, last season, I mean, it's a very small sample size,
Yeah.
6 assists in 10 games. I think that's a 49 assist pace, so very close to that. Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to lead the team in assists. He's going to be the 1C.
Hmm.
That's pretty much known at this point. So much of the offense is going to run through him. He's got great vision, awesome playmaker. I mean, what more can you say? I think he's the pick.
Exactly. Dark horse candidates for assists, though. That's where things get interesting because I think that's where we could maybe see an Andre Burakovsky come into the equation.
I like that pick.
Yeah. What about
So,
you?
all right. For me, now I don't know if this counts because this guy did very quietly lead the team in assists last season, and it's Vince Dunn.
Yeah.
He did lead the team, and guess what? He's now the number one offensive defenseman, on the team. Gio's gone, and the Kraken didn't really bring in anyone else to fill that role. I mean,
Hmm.
yes, Justin Schultz will be involved, but there's no one else who's kind of for sure going to take that from him. No Klingberg signing, nothing like that. So Vince Dunn's going to have a lot of opportunity to step up and be in positions where accounting stat like assists, he's going to be around a lot of offense. So he'd kind of be my dark horse candidate to lead the team there.
I really like that one. Like, I like that pick a lot. I think that's a really sneaky pick. I know he led the team in assists and all that stuff, but yeah, I mean, getting that opportunity, I mean, he's going to be that power play quarterback number one, all that kind of stuff. He's going to be put in a lot of good positions. I like that pick a lot. All right, points. I'm sticking with
I mean,
Beniers for points. I just think he's probably gonna get to 20 goals, probably gonna have around 50 assists if all things go right. And that being around 70 points will probably lead this team in points. Certainly if last year's anything to go off of.
right. Agreed. I mean, take everything we just said about him for assists, kind of apply it here. He's
Yeah.
going to be the main driver of offense. And yes, somebody else could surprise, but he kind of has to be the odds on favorite. I'm curious to see, though, who you think, who's your sneaky pick to maybe lead the team in
Hmm.
points if Beniers doesn't do it?
Right. My sneaky pick is gonna be the guy who was second on the team in points last year, Yanni Gord, because I think Yanni Gord,
Ooh.
if Beniers is everything that we hope and think he's going to be, Yanni Gord's going to have lots of fun picking apart some better matchups this season. And he's a really good all around player. We don't know how the lines are set up yet because, again, this is way too early. But I think he's going to be playing with better players this season. I don't think they're going to just put him in a shutdown role. I think he's going to have the opportunity to be playing with Mccann, Eberle, Bjork, Strand, Burakovsky. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's really going to center a second top six line and get plenty of playing time there. And I think he's going to go ahead and enjoy himself a little and work on his offense. I think he's going to be a 20 goal guy. I think he's going to be a guy that can get up, 40 plus assists and stuff too. So I'm going Yanni Gord. What about you?
So I like that bold pick of Yanni Gord from you, especially as someone who picked Yanni Gord last season to lead the team in points, despite him having a shoulder injury that we thought might keep him out till November or
Yes.
December. So I like that from you coming around. For me, I think Andre Burakovsky. That
Mm-hmm.
would be, my less obvious pick. And a big part of that too is power play time. I remember Ron Francis talked about Burakovsky maybe getting some opportunity on the top power play unit already. It's hard to know. Again, it's way too early. Hard to know who's going to be there. But I feel like when the general manager is already talking about, you having unit one power play time, that's probably where the organization envisions you. You're going to have a lot of chances there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to get a shot to play with Maddie Beniers. We'll see how it goes. But he's the biggest maybe boom or bust type forward that I could see because we were talking about this when looking at him as a free agent and should the Kraken sign him, should they not? There's a lot of underlying numbers that suggest that there's some big boom potential for him. He wasn't playing a lot of ice time. He had third line minutes. He didn't have a lot of power play time. He could really explode scoring wise. On the other hand, you could look and be like, okay, well, get away from these Colorado players. What else could he do? But I think there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, that's why I had him as my dark horse for assists. I think he will be up there. I just so excited to see how this lineup shakes up and everything. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. This is just making me wish the training camp was coming even sooner doing this series here. I think we could skip plus minus because you and I both hate that as a stat. No reason to really talk about it.
Yep.
Penalty minutes, though, we got to talk about because, as we all know, that's the most important fantasy hockey stat every year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you can win your league off penalty minutes if you do it right.
Exactly. Now, we got no Jeremy Lauzon to lead the team in penalty minutes this year, RJ. So who's your pick to lead this Seattle Kraken club in PIMS?
Now, I kind of went back and forth on this one because you look at the list from last season and you've got Lozon at the top. You've also got, a Vince Dunn, I think, as second behind him. But I'm sure we're going to probably agree on this, unfortunately, but I got Adam Larson. I mean, he's a minute muncher. This is a volume stat. He's going to be in a defensive role. It kind of comes with the territory, taking penalties. We know that he has that angry side to him at times.
Yep.
If he gets angry, that can lead to penalty minutes. I thought about Dunn. I don't think his fights are going to be as high as they were last season. We saw some angry Vince Dunn too. Yeah. But I think with Larson, it's a little bit more sustainable. Who do you have, Dylan?
So I was originally going to pick Adam Larson just because we know he's got the temper and we know he can lose his cool if they're down in the third period, which is the worst time to lose your cool. And that's the only bad thing I'll ever say about Adam Larson. But I'm actually going to go with a guy who finished with one less penalty minute than Adam Larson last year, but did so in 10 fewer games. And that's Jaime Alexiak. You talk about Vince Dunn not having so many fights last year. I think Alexiak's going to be the brawler on this team, and I think that those fights are going to add up. I also think he's going to maybe get, he's going to have a lot of ice time this year too. A lot of opportunity to potentially get himself in some sticky situations. So I'm going Jaime Alexiak, I think.
I like that pick. You know what? I mean, we saw him fight a little bit last season. He kind of looked out of it a little bit after that injury he had mid-season. I think when he's fully healthy and everything, he can kind of step up and be that brawler type player. Now, do you have a dark horse pick for this? We don't have to do it for every category, but I had one in mind.
Oh, well, I'm interested to hear yours. Why don't you give me yours?
John Hayden. Now, it might seem obvious too, because he does one thing. He fights.
Yeah.
And if he plays enough games, all those 5-minute penalties could add up. He had 84 penalty minutes in 55 games last season with the Sabres. That would have easily led the Kraken last year. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of, does he get into the lineup enough? Do they feel that they need someone to go in there and fight in whatever situation? It's interesting because the Kraken didn't really have a player like that last season. And some teams, will have a guy that they'll bring insert to the lineup for those games where they feel they need a little more grit. Mm-hmm. I'm not really a fan of that, but some teams will do it, and you never know. It'll surprise you which teams too, because we know the Kraken are very analytics based, and they kind of like to view things in a more progressive light there, and maybe they won't have a dedicated fighter, but they did sign the guy. So it makes me wonder if he will sneak into the lineup sometimes and rack up enough penalty minutes to be near the top of that list.
That is true. I'm kind of with you. I just don't know he's going to get the playing time to do it. I think that, it might necessitate an injury somewhere, which obviously we don't want to have happen. Or, if Shane Wright's not going to, be with the club this year, maybe that helps open up an opportunity for him. For a dark horse candidate for me, I'm going to go with a forward as well. I'm going to say Ryan Donato. Now, this is another guy we just talked about on the last deep dive about, what's his kind of roster situation and everything. We thought, well, maybe he's going to, his only way forward is if he really gels with Beniers and they need him in that top 6 role, which would give him more ice time for him to potentially rack up some penalty minutes. But just because of his aggressiveness on the forecheck and stuff, and I think if that top 6 role isn't there, he's going to need to find a way to make this team. And what's the traditional way guys find to make a team? It's through big hits. It's through being strong on that forecheck, being strong on that back check, fighting guys from time to time. Excuse me. And so, maybe that's how Ryan Donato kind of squeezes his way into the lineup and hangs around. I could see it.
Interesting pick. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing coaches like, as much as we view penalty minutes as negative. If you're earning them the right way, I guess.
He was second amongst forwards on the team last year, so it's hardly a stretch. He was only 5 behind Yanni Gord, so.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, and that being said, it's going to be a defenseman.
The way these stats go, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk some special teams here a little bit, RJ, because that was certainly the power play. Oh my gosh. Like we don't need to relive the Muckleshoot bathroom breaks or anything. But I do want to talk about it because I think the special teams is going to be better this year. Certainly the power play is going to be better. I think everything's in line for the PK to be just as good as it was last year. So why don't we go ahead and talk about power play goals? Because this was a category in which, Mccann easily won it last year with a whole whopping 8, more, literally double what Jordan Eberle was able to get in second place at only 4. Do you think somebody gets to double digits this year, RJ?
I think so. I mean, you look at last season and 8 was the leader. That did not feel like a lot. Somebody better be able to get to double digits. I mean, the power play just has to improve. And I think with all the talent they have there now that they've brought in, I think it will.
Exactly. So do you want to go ahead and give your pick for this one first?
All right. Power play goals leader. Yeah, I'll start. I'm going to go with Andre Burakovsky. I talked about kind of how they, envision him being on that Unit 1 power play. I think they're going to try and get creative as far as how they use him. I watching him with the Avs. I mean, he was kind of more of a setup man. You had, Valerian Nichushkin kind of, going to the net. I saw a lot of plays like that, but I think they're going to try and open up ways for Burakovsky to kind of get down low near the net and be in a position to shoot. I thought about Maddie Beniers, if he's got that one timer, if they want to make him the trigger man, but I just think they're going to have him be more of a distributor. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be the case for Beniers, and I think that's the right call too. I mean, we've talked about it. We'll talk about it in more depth in the future. I think this idea of kind of going 5 forwards on that first unit power play and kind of having him be kind of the guy making that work, it could be really interesting. I like the Burakovsky thing. If he was, it's again, it's hard to tell with Colorado because there was just so many options there that when he would kind of fall out of favor with the power play minutes, it's understandable in a way that's probably not going to be replicated with the Kraken. But I'm going to go with the other new addition, Oliver Bjork Strands. I talked about it when they signed him, or when they traded for him, I should say. He can play in so many different positions on a power play. He loves to work in the slot. He can be your bumper guy there. He could be net front if you really want him to. He can play really either side because of his distribution and his ability just to sneak behind defenses and stuff. And I just think all that's going to be really useful as they work out what they want their power play to look like. I think they're going to find that him being such a versatile piece and him being somebody who can get open for a Maddie Beniers to find is going to be something that's going to be really key to the power play this year. And he would have led the team in power play goals last year. He had 9 in Columbus. So maybe it's obviously not a dark horse choice for me, but I think it's going to be Bjorkstrand.
Yeah, I like that pick.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to go dark horse candidates for these. I think realistically, dark horse candidates going to be like Beniers for like all this.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, I think going forward, we could probably just pick a winner. But for those big categories, I wanted to get some off the board choices in.
Exactly. Now, on the other end of special teams, just because this is the thing, nothing will get a team going more than a shorthanded goal. It's arguably the most important thing you could ever contribute to your hockey team as a hockey player is a shorthanded goal. I would make that argument. I don't know if many people would agree with me. Last season, Kraken had 2 people tied for the lead with 2 shorthanded goals each. Can you name them, RJ? Just real quick. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
I feel like Colin Blackwell was one of them because I remember at least. Okay. And then
the other one is also no longer on the team, if that helps.
Okay, well that takes Yanni Gord out of the equation. No longer on the team. Didn't Gio have some crazy shorthanded streak? Was that him?
It was Gio. Yes.
Okay.
Mark Giordano, Colin Blackwell, both led the team in shorthanded goals last year with 2 each. Probably not going to do that for the Kraken again this year, barring some craziness. So who's your pick for shorthanded goals this year? Who's going to get this team going when they need it the most, RJ?
When you talk about getting the team going when they need it the most, an energy guy, I think a guy who drove a lot of the penalty kill last season was Yanni Gord, and he's my pick to lead in shorthanded goals this year. He must have had at least 1 shorthanded goal last season, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he had 1. But yeah, he's going to get a lot of penalty kill time. The Kraken are just going to have such a good penalty kill. At least on paper, it looks like the different guys they can have going. Yanni Gord, Brandon Tanev's going to be back. You had Jonas Donskoy, who had a lot of success there. Carson Kuhlman. I think it's going to be a really exciting PK that can be a real power kill at times, attacking like they did last season. But I'm going to go with Yanni Gord. He's kind of the straw that stirs the drink there on the PK, and he's got finishing ability. We know that. He's my pick.
He is. He did lead the team in shorthanded assists with 3 last year. So he's
Okay, that
definitely
sounds about
he's
right.
definitely involved in those shorthanded goals. He just wasn't the guy scoring them. You mentioned the guy I'm picking, and that's Brandon Tanev. Tied Yanni Gord
Mm.
last year with one shorthanded goal. Obviously missed a ton of time because of the injury. Going to be back healthy, hopefully, this season. I just think remembering him for those first 30 games and the way he would just kind of streak down with the puck like a total madman, bumbling and stumbling his way along the boards before he'd finally cut in towards the net. I just think he's going to do that a bunch this year, and we're going to have so much fun with it. And his ability to time his rushes perfectly while the other team's power play is making a change, I just think that's going to give him lots of opportunity to get some shorties this year. It's going to be so much fun, too.
And no, it's going to be so fun. I cannot wait to have Brandon Tanev back.
Yes. All right, now let's get to the ultimate counting stat, RJ, because it's the one that you got to count the highest, and that's shots.
Okay.
Do you have any? I know this is a terrible way of doing it. That was just absolutely terrible. It's way too early for me to have thought about it. That's why. Shots. Who do you think is going to be the shot leader this year for the Kraken?
Well, I mean, looking at last season, Jared McCann was the leader with 199, so almost hit the 200 shot mark.
Yeah.
It's such a volume stat. And Jared McCann, I mean, he was certainly a volume shooter last year, and I think he's going to keep that up. I don't know that the Kraken brought in anyone else who's going to really challenge him for that. I'm trying to look at Maddie Beniers, how he did 18 shots in 10 games. What's that a pace for? So let's do that real quick.
It's 18.
Okay, like 100, yeah, 150 or something.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't think he's gonna top McCann. He shouldn't probably given the way he plays. I think McCann's gonna keep his title there and be the shot leader this season.
I agree. I don't think. I mean, maybe Bjork Strand will come close. I don't think Burakovsky's going to do it. And then, yeah, I could see one day Veneers turning into a real volume shooter kind of guy, but I don't think it's going to be in his first full season. You know what I mean? I think he's going to focus on what's comfortable for him, and that's being more of a playmaker and stuff. We'll probably see more of a, like a Crosby or any of those kind of big young center guys that are good. They come in, they play the playmaking game, and then they work on the shot, and the goal scoring comes later down the road once they're more comfortable in the league. I think that's probably going to be the case with Maddie. So yes, I'm going McCann. Like you said, last year, I mean, he was just the guy that was going to rip it from anywhere. That's why he scored from anywhere. It's just
exactly
the way it goes.
Now, I do want to throw in a dark horse candidate for this one because I think it could be fun. Ryan Donato. I'm looking at this list, and he was 40 shots back of McCann, but in way less ice time. Yes. I feel like shots per 60, he's probably right up there. I haven't done the math. But if Donato is able to get a role in the top six somehow, playing with Maddie Beniers, I could see it. I really could see it.
He was going to be my dark horse if we were going to do a dark horse for the same exact reason. Yeah, based on shots per 60, again, I'm not looking at it either right now, but for sure it would be Donato every day of the week if he's playing top six role. All right, I don't think we need to do shooting percentage because that's freaky year to year. If we could nail that, that would be unbelievable. I don't know that we need to do time on ice. Like, you want to do like average time on ice for forward and defenseman, like who we think are going to be the stalwarts for the team?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I think it's going to be all right, goaltending, of course, takes the cake.
Okay, come on. Yeah, don't pick a goalie.
I think Grubauer is going to average like 50-something minutes. I got it right. Look at me.
Hey, last season it was Joey Decord.
It was
Joey if you're going by that.
Yes. All right, let's do defenseman first. I think it's going to be Adam Larson again. He's just their only guy that's kind of a do-it-all, minute muncher. You can trust him in all the situations. I don't see anyone else coming close to him.
You know what? I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to go with Vince Dunn.
Okay.
He was actually, he was a little ways back of Larson last season, but we talked about this vacuum of having, nobody really to fill that offensive defenseman role. Yes, you brought in Justin Schultz, but, how much of a role is he really going to play? I think Vince Dunn, when you talk about power play time, is going to have a lot of that. And on the PK, I mean, we saw the Kraken willing to put him out there sometimes, paired with Larson sometimes. He can have enough that I think he can be in that conversation. And if the Kraken are in these, close games or trailing, it's going to be tough for him to pull away because he'll probably be paired with Larson a lot. But I could see him getting close enough, and the power play time maybe puts him ahead of Larson, whereas last season the PK time put Larson ahead.
Yeah, you'd have to make up about a minute and a half right now. Is the difference from
Okay.
last season as far as their average time on ice. I will say this, because I'm gonna take what you said and then I'm gonna take it to like the fifth dimension, 1,000 IQ points here. Okay, you know why what you said isn't gonna happen?
Okay, why?
Because the power play is gonna score, which means that power play time it's not going to be the full 2 minutes. We're not going to watch them just pass around aimlessly, not get shots off or anything. Power play is going to actually score this year. So that power play time's not going to actually add up to as much as maybe it even did last year for him. So I don't think that that's going to be the case. And then as far as the PK time, well, PK is just going to be even better this year with a full season of Maddie Beniers out there leading that squad. So for Adam Larson being on that top PK pairing, he's getting that full 2 minutes. You know what I mean? And that's going to pad his time on ice for the whole game.
Well, I like the optimistic thinking. That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, maybe we should want Adam Larson to lead the team in ice time if we're thinking about it that way.
Yep, it means you're killing penalties. It means the power play's scoring. So let's go. All right, now for the fun stuff. This is the real fantasy hockey nitty gritty stuff right here. Blocked shots.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, last year this was a category that was it was nowhere close. Adam Larson led the team with 140. Next on the team was Gio at 98. And then if we want another current Kraken, it was Jaime Alexiak at 86. Barring injury, it'll be Larson again.
Yeah, I mean, sorry not to maybe make a fun pick here, but he ran away with it last season. Adam Larson blocked a ton of shots. I don't see him stopping that anytime soon. I don't know. I just can't imagine anyone beating him to that.
I can't either. Unless it's a pairing, unless you're going to say Alexiak and Schwartz together. You're going to challenge Larson.
Schwartz, that's an interesting pick there.
Yeah, no. And then if we want to just to mention it, forwards last year, do you know who led the team in shot blocks amongst forwards?
Is it someone I wouldn't expect?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I was shocked to see this.
Shocked. Okay. Oh, Jordan Eberle.
Jordan Eberle was second actually amongst forwards.
Was he really?
Yes.
Okay.
So you were really close.
Who was number one then?
It was actually Alexander Wenberg. Led the forwards group in block shots with 44 of them. So, but it was him, Eberle, and then it's a huge drop off to Yanni Gord at 31. So, interesting.
Gord would have been my pick if it was someone you're like, yeah, you'd probably expect it.
Yeah, him or Mccann, just knowing how Mccann likes to fly all over the defensive zone and try to get involved. So, interesting, but overall, block shots, it's going to be Larson again. Hits, though, this is where things get interesting. Because Larson did lead the team in hits last year, but Alexiak was only one hit behind. And as I said earlier, Alexiak did play 10 less games. So, I mean, again, this is one that skews defense. Who do you think is going to take it this year in what's going to hopefully be a really close and fun race between those two?
I'm not picking a defenseman. I'm not going to take one of those two at all. I'm going Brandon Tanev.
Yeah, that's where you're going.
That's the fun pick. I think he's going to be eager to get back out on the ice. He's going to be hitting everything in sight, especially early on in the season. Most times the defenseman leads the team in hits, but yeah, Brandon Tanev, come on. How does he not take the crown there?
Well, Brandon Tanev finished 5th last year on the team with 98, so about 90-ish fewer than Adam Larson for the team lead, but Larson did play 52 more games. So I think you're right. I think you're totally onto something with this Brandon Tanev thing. I think the real race is going to be between Tanev and Alexiak. Just to be different, just so if we decide to tabulate all these scores at the end of the season, I'm going to go Alexiak. Just because, why not? He's going to be big mean machine this year, but I think Tanev's going to be right there with him, and I think that's going to be a fun one to watch over the course of the season.
Oh, for sure.
All right, and then I think last but certainly not least, face-off win percentage. All right, so let's pause. Let's pause for the quick 3 subsequent ad breaks here. All right, thanks for staying with us, everybody. That was awesome. We really appreciate the revenue there. Face-off win percentage last year, RJ. The person who led the team was my boy Victor Rask, but that was
really.
Yes.
How many face-offs did he take?
10. So it wasn't the largest of sample sizes, but that's decent. That's better than Tanev's, 1 win, 1 loss. So he had a 60% win percentage. As far as like actual, somebody with a substantial sample size, it was the faceoff god himself, Morgan Geekie, crushing it at 52.5%. But who knows how much action he's going to get this year, RJ?
Right. Now, with percentage, it's not necessarily a counting stat. So if he's really efficient in the action he does get, he's probably the favorite. If you're looking at who is already there on the team. But I'm gonna pick probably a little off the board based on stats last season. But I'm going to go with Maddie Beniers.
Okay.
We know that the best players like to work on certain aspects of their game. I don't know if he's been working on faceoffs, but that's one of those things that we know, Sidney Crosby worked on that, just basically took a whole offseason to get better at faceoffs and then just was amazing at them after doing that. So I could see him trying to work on that. He worked with some other Kraken players. I think it was Yanni Gord working on faceoffs I saw after practices, after morning skates. Didn't have a whole lot of time to really, get that practice in last season. He was only up for 10 games. But I think he's going to continue to work on that. I've seen him try and put in the effort there. I don't think his faceoff stats were all that great last season.
They were really not.
He's had a whole but he's had a whole off season to work on it. I'm going to bet on some improvement there, and I think he might surprise us.
Yeah, he was down at 42.4% last year.
That's not very good.
It was not good. So I do think that he's going to work on stuff. I think he's going to pick up more skills from the rest of the guys on the team and all that stuff. But I think you're a year too early, RJ, because if you remember way, 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 way back to when we were talking about after the expansion draft, when the Kraken surprise pick Morgan Geekie, and I was looking at things and I saw, hey, you know what? This guy's good at faceoffs, all that kind of stuff. And I brought up something that probably only like 2 people will remember because only like 2 people were watching us back then. And that was that for all these guys, year 3 is the year of the faceoff. Sidney Crosby, Jonathan Toews, Mccann, all those guys. Year 3 was the year that their faceoff percentage really jumped and they could be, 55+%. Bergeron, all those guys. Year 3. So we're not quite there for Maddie Beniers. I think this is going to be like year 2 for him. So I think he's still going to be working on other stuff before he decides to focus on faceoffs. This is going to be the year where he's going to decide, oh, you know what? I need to be better on that next year. Win those offensive zone draws, all that stuff. They need that year to get motivated. So I think you're a year early on him. I'm going to go with Yanni Gord because I think with Geekie, like you said, it's not a counting stat thing, but I do think that if he's not getting the regular reps, that would affect anybody. Yanni Gord is going to be getting those regular reps. I talked about it earlier. I think he's going to have some better matchups this year. I think he's going to be put in some better situations and stuff. I think he's going to have some power play, draws on the second unit and stuff. And I think he's going to be motivated by that. And I think Yanni Gord's going to lead this team in face-off win percentage.
That's probably a pretty smart pick. The third year thing is interesting. So I may end up losing in my pick, in the category for face-off percentage. I will win where it really counts, and that is the way too early category.
Exactly.
Because if I'm a whole year too early, then I think I've figured out what this video is all about.
You really have. You've stuck with the spirit of the video. You've one-upped me at my own game. Congratulations, RJ. Here, let me see if I can give you. Do these still work? There you go. There's some fireworks and some confetti for you.
Hey, awesome. Good to get those going in a YouTube video, not just a post-game live.
Exactly. So those are going to be our picks for the Kraken stat leaders, our way too early picks. Let us know down in the comments below what you guys all think. And hope you enjoy this video. Hope you enjoy this series. We got some more fun videos coming up once a week. And oh my gosh, the video we're going to end with at the end of this month, it's going to be so much fun. Talk about staying in the spirit of way too early. It's going to be...
Yeah, get ready for some bold predictions, guys.
It's going to be so much fun. So make sure you stick around for that. And until then, we will see you all next time.